broadcast of Northwest Georgia Cryptic. I'm Rick Weaver. I'm joined tonight by my, hang on, I'm joined tonight by my co-host Blake Duckworth. Uh, we've got Mr. Wendell Hurricane. Wendell, how do you pronounce your last name?
Burroughs.
Burroughs.
Yeah.
We got Wendell with us, and hopefully Mr. Barry Robertson is going to join us on the show. Blake, go ahead and open things up.
I hope everyone's doing well this week. If you don't mind, give Wendell and his channel a follow. What's your channel again, Wendell?
It's Arkansas Boys. The YouTube channel is Hunting and Fishing with the Arkansas Boys, and we do. The Facebook is the same as Arkansas Boys, and our the team that we actually do the Bigfooting with is the Folklore team. It's Folklore page.
Okay. Yeah, if you guys don't mind, go give them a subscribe, give them a follow, like their content. And if you guys don't mind, if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, bell notification, like, and a comment. And everyone, welcome Wendell this week. And Ricky, go ahead.
Okay, folks, tonight we're going to be talking about Sasquatch clans across America. Now, these creatures come in all shapes, sizes, forms, different looks, kind of like the human species. But I'm going to be showing some pictures tonight of artist renderings, and we'll be discussing that. Going from that. If anybody's got any questions, just hit us up, and we'll try our best to answer them. Number one, I'm going to show you one this was posted a few years ago on the net. Y'all see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, boys, now how would y'all describe that? Is that, Blake, is that similar to what you saw back in 2011?
Not as much as what I saw. Mine wasn't as black far as hair color, but definitely, and mine had more of the conish head. I mean, that picture, I mean, he's got a conish head, but not as pronounced as what I saw. I mean, size-wise, definitely bigger arms than the ones I saw. I mean, of course, can't really judge by height because you don't really know how tall it is in that picture. But I mean, similar size.
Okay, bye.
Main thing difference is the color. Did you hear anything I just said, Ricky?
No, I did not. I'm sorry.
I said, not exactly. What I saw was different color. Had more of a brownish tint to it, not so black. The really dark brown though. Different, a little bit structure to the head. Mine had more of a cone head than that one. Not quite as big arms. Of course, I can't judge height by that, but I mean, similar size, just not as bulky.
Right.
Yeah, the one that I saw, but the one I saw was probably 80 to 100 yards across the field. The arms wasn't as bulky as that, but it was
not
pretty close to that dark. The hair was a little different, more. Of course, like I said, the one I saw from a distance it wasn't shaggy like that on the shoulders. The hair actually on the head was longer, like it was hanging on its back. But
yeah, that's what I was about to say. See, mine was about 100, 150 yards sighting, maybe a little bit farther, give or take a little bit. It's a rough estimate. And mine had a little bit longer hair throughout the whole body. But more, of course, what I would describe as matted a little bit. I mean, you could tell that, it wasn't He didn't take a bath every day. I mean,
Right.
Right. I'd like to say hello to Steve Walden, who's joining in from Shamrock, Texas. Uh, let's see what else we got here. Let me get some more pictures up here. All right. Now, again, folks, these are artist renderings of what people describe they have saw over the years. These creatures, Blake and I have had mundane encounters with these creatures, and then we've actually had some pretty rough encounters with them. And from the looks of this guy, had probably one of your more wilder encounters there.
yeah, he looks a little pissed off.
Yeah. The hair looks more like what I
Yeah.
saw, but mine, the distance, I couldn't tell no facial features.
Yeah, I couldn't see no facial features as well. I mean, I could tell it had more of the pug nose. I mean, I could see, certain things, but it wasn't super defined from what I could tell.
Now, the closer ones that I have seen, it was just the back as it jumped off a bluff line. So,
Right.
Yeah, kind of hard to get any detail from one like that.
yeah.
The one I saw back in '81 had a facial structure kind of like this picture, all except as far as the cheeks and the chin was concerned, it had more hair on it than what this picture does.
Yeah. I mean, I will tell you, mine didn't have. Mine it had hair on the face.
Let me welcome Mr. Hey, Murray, welcome to the show, buddy.
I hear both Cephas.
Yeah, you do. How y'all doing tonight?
How's it going,
Barry?
He started that about an hour ago.
What's that?
Bo Stevens, he started acting up about an hour ago. I'm on my phone tonight. I want to see if it's going to work any better than the laptop.
It looks better.
Yeah. So far, everything's working good. I hear everybody and everything.
Well, that's good. Barry, tonight we're discussing Sasquatch clans from across America, the different looks, different types that we have. I've got some pictures that I'm putting up. I don't know if you've ever actually had a visual encounter with one of these creatures or not, but I know you've had
I've had 3 of what I believe are visual encounters. I have never had the face-to-face, like 20 foot away, looking in the eyes, but I've got a decent look at 2 of them and a partial look at one of what I believe was one.
These, like I'm telling everybody tonight, these are artist renderings of pictures where people have seen these creatures, and the artists have sat down and actually drawed out portraits of what they saw. That's what I'm posting tonight, and that's where discussion's going to tonight.
All right.
I'm gonna put up another one here.
Yeah, that was more like what I saw from
That's what I was about to say. Especially the arms look more of what I saw.
Yeah, it was hunched like that as it runs. So I mean, it never was straight up, but it was moving fast and stayed hunched, and the arms down.
The very first, what I believe was roadside crossing I saw, the basic shape and size was about right, but it wasn't hunched when it was running. That's pretty close.
So it's running upright?
Yeah, it was definitely upright. Almost, as odd as it is to say, straight upright, like it kept its back almost telephone pole straight. especially considering the slope it went up on the far side of the road. I wouldn't say it was impossible to run up that and keep your back straight, but I don't believe a man could do it. A man almost have to use his hands to pull himself up.
You know, I've never thought about that because I had a sighting of a juvenile, a male, and a female all together. The male was upright, but the female was hunched over. I've never thought about that until you brought that up.
Yeah.
Nope. That's wild for me is everywhere in America, we got friends in Washington State, we got friends in Colorado that hunt these things, that have actually saw them. And I've saw one, I've had a close encounter with one. Blake has, well, all of us have. And it's amazing to me that these things are basically as far as the makeup of the creatures. There are some similarities in them, but yet there are a lot of difference in them, just like the human species.
Well, and that only makes sense to me. I mean, I feel like they've got to be some differentiations there that from place to place and family group to family group. I mean, they've got to have some type of different makeup or genetics or just kind of like how all humans are different.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's like a generic. I mean, even all living creatures are that way. All dogs are that way. They're nothing that is exactly the same.
Right, and everybody, in this picture, there of course is the telltale red eyes that most people encounter with these things. Now we got
that's more of, from what I could tell from the distance I had my sighting. That was the more of the facial features I saw. Pug nose. Had, real, not long hair on the face, but, kind of hairy all over the face to a certain extent from what I could tell. I mean, that would be more of if I could have imagined what it looked like up close, would have looked like.
Well, now that's what I started to say about the one I saw back in '81. It, as far as facial features, that's about what it looked like, other than when it saw us, it was hunched over, or crouched over, and when it saw us, it threw its head back, winded, and it sprung straight up and turned and ran for the wood line, and that's basically all we got. Was just maybe a 10 to 20-second glimpse of this creature, and it was gone.
Yeah, usually you ain't gonna get to see them very long.
Yeah,
No.
Of the 3 partial sightings I've had, the longest one was probably 15 seconds tops.
Right.
That's something I was thinking about the other day, Blake. I was going to ask you, when you saw the family clan unit, whatever you want to call they traveling, were all 3 of them the same color, marked the same way? Was there any difference between them? Or?
Well, yes, of course they were some variation to what they look like. So I got about I don't know, I had enough time to call Ricky. I was actually on the phone with Ricky when all this was going on. I was in the back of like some thickets, and you could see through. It, they weren't dense enough to where you couldn't see through, but it was almost camouflaged. And I don't know like why and how the sighting. I mean, like I know how we got to the point of the sighting, but it's one of those things. I feel like a lot of sightings you were meant to have them, and that's kind of how I feel about this one. Like it just, it's a little different than some people's sightings. I actually did get to have about a 1 to 2 minute visual of these creatures. From the distance I was at, like I was telling Wendell, just judging, I've never measured it out, but I would say at least 100 150 yard sighting. So fairly close, but a little distance. Of course, the male was a lot bigger. He was a real dark brown. Female was similar color, but still more to a lighter brown than the male was. And of course, how I distinguished the female was, of course, she had breasts, and she was also about a half a foot or so smaller than the male, quite a bit smaller as far as size wise. I mean, if I had to judge maybe 100, 200 pounds smaller. Not like a significant amount smaller when we're talking as much as they weigh to begin with, but she wasn't as bulky. And the juvenile, I didn't get a good look at the juvenile. From what I could tell, is about 4 foot tall, similar color to the female. If I had to guess, probably age, maybe a couple years old, if that. I mean, he would. Of course, I don't know if it had no developed, distinguished anything I could see to determine gender on it.
Right.
But I would say, a size of about a 7 or 8 year old kid.
Well, and that's something else, that go back to talking on that as far as genetics, makeup, and all on them. We don't know, we don't know enough about these creatures to actually be able to age them, because
Right.
we don't know, if they go by an age span like humans do.
Something I thought about too just now, not to interrupt Ricky, but if I don't say it, I'll forget it. I almost wonder if sometimes the differentiation of color has to do with the terrain.
Possible.
And see, we have a lot of red clay here, and I almost wonder if that may have been why they had a brown tint to their. I don't know if it may have been dirt, or if that was the actual color of their hair, or just an idea there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you get all kind eyewitness accounts from them nicely neat hair to out in the Midwest, they're covered in mud. Where
that's what I was about to say. I describe as a more of a matty, matness to their hair, dirty. So what's that? Just what made me think? Well, maybe that may have been mud or clay or something in their fur that was making them that color.
Right. And it may just be genetics for that area too.
Correct.
Because I've had reports.
I've talked to a lot of people here, and I mean that's the main common report in our area. You don't hear of a lot of black ones here. You do, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it seems like they lean more towards the dark brown, almost black color. But if you see them in sunlight, you can tell they're brown. Right. I mean, if you see them at night or something, you'd probably think they were black. But I mean,
yeah, we get more of that color here, and then we've had lots of reports of some that's kind of going to the silverish color.
Yep,
it's like they're older.
That makes you wonder if they're older. Yep. It's like the videos of the wild ones and stuff like that. I mean, is that actually gray? Maybe not necessarily white.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. We as researchers, we don't know enough about these creatures to know what their genetic makeup is. We don't know what their metabolic rate is on their aging.
We don't know what happens as they age, far as physical features, or we don't know. We have no. I mean, we have hypothesis, of course, but I mean, the hypothesis is a hypothesis. So,
right. Well, you would think it would be close to something in our age span.
Well, even other animals, as they get older, they get gray hair. I mean, look at dogs. There's some dogs that get gray whiskers and get gray hair. I mean,
horses get grayer, a lot of them.
But you look back on it though, you got to think. Dogs, their makeup is, they say that after they turn a year old, that a dog lifespan ages 7 years to a human.
Right.
So we don't know what it is with these creatures.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know if they live 50 years. We don't know if they live 100 years. We don't know if we have no clue.
you would
I don't know
think.
if anybody. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, our lifespan used to be a lot less as far as recent history. I mean, 50-year-old, you was out to the farm and gone. I mean, and
Well, modern medicine's allowed humans to live a little bit longer. I mean,
right.
Back 20s and 30s, even, prior to that, 1800s, I mean, if you got sick, 17, you got sick, I mean, you got sick. I mean, you might live, you might not. I mean, yes, we had medicines, but a lot of it was a guessing game at that point. I mean, there were a lot of trial and error stuff going on.
So these may be the same way, or they may live longer. Who knows?
Right. I mean, you're going back to the medical aspect of these creatures and all. My grandmother back years ago, when I was just a boy, she used all types of herbs and plants, that come out of the wild to doctor herself with, doctor her kids with, and all. And who's to say if these creatures don't do the same thing?
Well, I'm sure they do. I mean, I'm almost, just taking a good gander. Yes, I would have to say they're very smart beings, and I think they probably know more than we know when it comes to that aspect. I mean,
well, this is a good example, and it's telling off on myself here, but I had a toothache since Sunday, and I tried to get in every dentist around, and it's going to be a 2-week wait. So I got the bright idea. This thing's hurting so bad, I'm going to pull it. I've seen several other people pull their own tooth. Well, I tried every which way. Never did get that tooth pulled. But the next day, after yanking on it and everything, it don't hurt no more. Ain't that crazy? I don't know.
I did the same thing.
it's one of those things. Just don't question it. I mean,
Yeah, that's just crazy. What was you saying, Barry? Oh, he froze up.
I did the same thing.
we jinxed it.
Yep.
Yeah. Murray, you muffled there, Bubba. We couldn't hear that last comment.
He was going to say something about a tooth, sound like. Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, we have no clue of how they. I mean, do they even? It's like some animals. Just bringing up this aspect. Some animals don't get sick like we do. Look at dogs. Yes, they get sick, but it's very rare compared to a human. For them, they can't. They don't. Things don't affect them like it does us. Well, same for them. Do they have the same problem with certain diseases and immunity problems as humans do, or are they more of their body just works how it should work?
Well,
they like.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say they like horses and dogs. They age 7 or 10 years to R1.
Yep.
Or
That's what we were just talking about a minute ago.
Right, who knows? We may age 5, 10 years to their one.
Right.
When people like Blake saw the juvenile down there, and I was guessing that the one that I saw back in '81 was a younger juvenile, but who knows? That creature could have been, back at that time I was in my 20s. That creature could have been 50, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Well, we don't even know as far as their reproduction. How often do they actually, how often they actually mate? There's so many aspects to the, their, I don't want to say lifestyles, but I mean, as far as how they live their lives and everything. I mean, do they only have one kid their whole life? Do they, do they have kids every year?
Well, I mean, some animals mate for life. Do they mate for life?
You don't know. Or is it the alpha male with all the clan, ever how many females they are?
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah, Wendell, you got a good point. They could be Mormons.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that. I apologize.
Shame, 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 Ricky.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, I'll be getting feedback on that, and I'm sure.
But all jokes aside, yes, are they one male to every 10 females? Are they are they more females than they are males? Or are they, are they more males than females? We have no clue.
It's like this in my area here. I'm kin to just about everybody in this county, but one of the main reason why my great grandpa, when he come here, and as far as you could see, you could own. You claim it, and he ended up having 32 kids. So, and they all married down and went on. But when you're in a county like that, where 32,
Yeah, that grows really fast.
yeah. I couldn't imagine having 32 kids.
I remember watching a special here in Kentucky. I forget what county it was, but this lady was a school teacher. And she talked about how when that county first got settled, there was only 4 or 5 families in the whole county, and they all intermarried. Well, eventually you get to the point you're marrying your second or third cousin. And she talked up in the 70s and 80s, it was like that there. It was hard for them to find somebody outside of their second or third cousin to marry because, like you said, everybody was related to everybody.
Yeah, I know that trouble all too well.
We've got a comment here. They want to know how they reproduce. Well, that's what we've been discussing. Really, we don't know how they reproduce. We don't know if they're like the human species reproduce that way. If they're asexual, if we don't know.
We don't know, but everything about them points to a mammal.
So yeah, that's what I was about to say. We know how mammals reproduce, and just saying. I would take a safe guess to say they reproduce like humans.
Right.
Yeah. We know just by visual encounter.
They have genitals. They have.
They're built more or less just like us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bipedal.
Yeah. Except 3 to 4 times the size and 3 to 4 times the strength. They're better.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just like the reports. I know most of the reports I've read, listened to, and everything. We talk about males and females. I don't know if there's more females, but people notice it more often when it's a female, for obvious reason.
Well, I was about to say obvious reason. You definitely see their upper half. So,
whereas on a male, you're probably not really thinking to check it out when something 8 foot tall, 700-900 pounds is standing there growling at you. Is the last thing you're worried about.
It's penis.
Gender.
You didn't ask it the cough.
Yeah. The main thought is, am I going to live? And how do I get out of here?
Amen.
Well, it's the shock value, too. You're standing there staring at something that ain't supposed to exist. Who cares?
You're not thinking to check and see what gender it is.
Yeah, who cares if it's male or female? It ain't supposed to be real.
Correct, yeah.
That's what gets me about everybody that Blake and I have spoken with that's had encounters with these creatures. They swear up and down, there's no way we'd ever believe that something like this could live out in the forest amongst us, amongst humans, and us not be able to see them any more than what we do. Well, these creatures are one of the most, I don't know, they have more capabilities than what we'll ever think about having as far as being able to.
And most of your people that say that too have never been out in the wilderness. Even though our Earth is so heavy populated, we still have a lot of uninhabited land. I mean, you go up to Blue Ridge up here, and if you was to get dropped by helicopter, you're probably never finding your way out. I mean, there's still
statistic about Alaska. There's enough square mileage you could put the entire population of North America and Alaska, and they can have like an acre and a half apiece.
correct.
And that's just Alaska.
So far as that aspect, and even nowadays, we don't have as many people out in the wilderness. Yes, we're encroaching on their land. We are taking land away from them, but at the same time, majority of today's population don't even get out of the city, or don't get out of their town, or we're having less and less people in wilderness. And those are people that normally like, well, how can something like that exist? They've never been out in the wild.
Yeah.
And when you do have it, like we was talking the other night, when you do have an encounter that's either close to town or at a park where people are at, the officials automatically label it, well, it was a bear attack or something like that.
Right, it's a simple answer. Just cut and dry, let it be.
It was just a trespasser too. If they could get called out to somebody being on their property, well, it looked like a person, but it was big. Well, it's a trespasser. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that goes with what we was talking about before that, Wendell. If you remember, the average non-believer driving down the road at night looks over in the field, sees something big and black. Well, it's just a hay bale or farm machinery, a cow, a horse, a bear.
They don't read into it. They don't really think about it. They just know they saw something.
And it's just the way the human brain works. It fills in the details. You see what you expect to see.
Right. And majority of people are gonna think, "Hey, I saw a bear." That's probably going to be if they see what looks like a creature or a being on two legs out in a field somewhere. Majority of people are just going to write it off as a bear.
Right.
For example, my fiance, she's not really into the whole Bigfoot thing. Not against it, but it doesn't even really cross her mind. She lets me do my thing. She don't do no research or anything with me. I mean, she does the paranormal, but her and her mom had took a trip down to Florida, and they were in a swampy area, and they were swamp on both sides of the road. The road went straight through, wherever they at. Right? I don't know exact location they were at, but just describing what she told me. Just pretty long straight road went down through both sides of swamp. And she told me when she got back, she didn't say anything for a couple weeks, and she was like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I seen a bear run across the road." I was like, "You seen a bear run across the road?" She's like, "Yeah, it ran across the road on two legs." I'm like, "You're in?" I was like, "That wasn't a bear." I was like, and she was like, "It moved really fast on two legs." I was like, "Baby, that that wasn't a bear," but her brain automatically told her she saw a bear. Her brain didn't even process that. Hey, that was possibly a Bigfoot.
Yeah, bear. It didn't process it. Bears don't run on two legs.
Exactly.
And if they are on two legs, they ain't usually moving very fast at all.
No. She said it ran super fast, and it was on two legs, and it was big. It's like, well, there's no way that was a bear. That's why I explained to her, hey, and whether if you want to accept it or not, you probably saw a skunk ape. I mean,
well, it's just like the case I had here. Now, I haven't been able to get a hold of this video or the lady that supposedly took it still. Wendell's heard this. I don't know if you and Ricky have heard me talk about it. I was at work and an official came in and was joking with me about Bigfoot stuff. He said, "Well, this lady out in such a part of the county has a video of something walking across the dam on its hind legs." And we looked at it and we had the Fish and Wildlife look at it. We told her it was a bear. They told her it was a bear. He's like, I don't really believe in Bigfoot. He's like, but I wasn't going back there to check it out. You can if you want to. Well, that's the attitude. I don't believe in Bigfoot. It was a bear. And like Wendell said with the officials, even if they know good and well, like you said, a bear is not going to walk across a dam on its hind legs.
Right.
There ain't no way.
No, if a bear does walk on its hind leg, it waddles, and it's slow, and it don't go far.
And it don't do it across a dam with water running over it.
Right. Most of the time, though, when they're on their hind legs, they're trying to get some out of a tree or something like that. I mean, they're not
Both the officials told her it was a bear, and then told her, don't tell people you got Bigfoot on video. You have every nutcase in the county out here. I was like, well, best I know, I'm the only Bigfoot nutcase in this county, but that's just their attitude toward it, you know. It's brush it off.
That's the way it goes, you know. We get covered. We have people. That's the reason that I'm going to say that there's 70% of the Bigfoot sightings across this country that is not reported because people think that's exactly what they're going to think, you know, is that somebody's going to label them as being a nutcase.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Cliff Barton pretty much said the same thing. Only 1 in 10 reports ever get reported.
But I do think we're at a point that you're hearing more and more of sightings because of, I don't really like it, but it's like a lot of things. It's become popular on TV shows, and it's become more put out there, more modernized, so people are a little bit more comfortable about talking about it because people do see it on a daily basis now. But there's no telling how many reports that never get told and will never get told.
Well, and another thing, guys, the reason we get more reports now than we did, you know, 20, 30 years ago is because of human encroachment in on their territory. You know, we go out here and we build $1 million homes and stuff that's on land that has never been opened up, and then we start having problems out of these creatures, and you're standing around scratching your head, you know, wondering what's coming down, tearing into your cattle barn, or what's, you know, toting your pigs off, or what's killing your chickens. You know, it's because of our encroachment on their territory.
We have a perfect area example of that. We did for several, 2016 when we first got into back into Bigfooting, is my buddy Tony Maddox had me come out here, and it's called Buffalo Hump. Well, that whole little area there was it's just a round mountain. Well, there's a creek that runs right along it. Well, when these Sasquatch would travel up and down this for the Catering Creek, they'd stop there and stay there because that was the only mountainous area that was nobody at and around, and it's been that way since the Civil War. So they knew that this was an area that they could stop and then move on down and go on towards Little Rock or towards South Arkansas. Well, somebody bought that about a year and a half ago, and they built $1 million home up on top of that. And I wanted to be able to get a hold of them, but it's all fenced off, the road that runs up to it, and just to see if they've had strange stuff happen, because you know
they're right there. They built it right in the middle of their passing.
Yeah, right there in the middle of it. They've had
they've had strange things happen. I'd bet on it.
They have to have. I just don't know who owns it. That's my only problem.
Well,
they got gated off, and you can't get up there.
I got a comment, but I can't make it out.
Kind of like the lady from
just saying hi.
Hi, Rick Blake, Wendell, PBR, Bama Bigfoot. No, that's what I started to say. That's like a lady out of Nashville that Blake and I have had on the show a couple of times. She is, her and her husband her husband's in some type of secretive work. The people are loaded. Got a big home there in Nashville. They built right on the foot of a mountain, and she said that ever since they built the home there, they've been encountering these creatures. Also, they own a lake house not far from where their main house is at, and the area there they've been having trouble with Bigfoot. So you know that just goes to show you when we start moving in on their territory, then we are going to start having more encounters, more and more encounters with these creatures.
Yeah.
Well, that's like everything. I mean, that's the reason you see more panthers and other type of wildlife in areas that it normally wouldn't have been.
Right. I don't know how it is down in y'all's area or Wendell or your area up in there, Barry, but here in Georgia, for years and years, we had paper companies, pulpwood companies that owned probably 60% of the property in around the county that I grew up in, up in Murray County and here in Gordon County. And for years and years, we didn't see things like this. But now they started selling all the pulpwood companies or pulpwood land out, and they've started building big homes and chicken farms, things of this nature on the property. And now, it seems like at least once a month or every other month, you're getting a report of somebody seeing some kind of strange creature.
Right. That's the same thing going on around here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like here in Calhoun where we live. I mean, they've actually been some here recently pretty close to Calhoun, and that's rare. Like, I mean, it's one of those things. Don't mean they haven't been sightings. You just never heard of them. I mean, the Johns Mountain area, of course, I mean, they go back time, for a long time, but, actually getting closer to our city limits, I mean, they're being pushed towards, they're having to find places to go because places are being built over in the Johns Mountain area. And I think that they're just, that it's forced them to come closer to where we're at, to the actual town. I mean,
well, it's like last year. They were down here in one of the big subdivisions. They had bear reportings down there one morning as a lady said she come out to go to work, and they were a mama and 3 cubs standing in her front yard. She said they were deer just overpopulated around the area down there. So it's not just Bigfoot; it's all the creatures.
Like same. I live maybe 7 miles from town. I mean, but it's still populated over where I live. It's kind of like, the town we live in is not super big, but it's a decent sized town. But I mean, suburb area of where our town's at, and I mean, we've had bear in our neighborhood over here. Same thing, it's overpopulated with deer in this area, and I mean, well, where food source is comes other things. And it's like we've got a black panther over here. We're not even supposed to have black panthers in Georgia. But yet, I mean, I seen it back in 2000. I seen it back in like 2013,
No,
2014.
Barry said, they say we ain't supposed to have them in North America. Well, I'll tell you what. Me and my ex-old lady saw one morning in probably 82, 83, about 2 o'clock in the morning. We'd been over to her mother's and picked my little boy up and started back over to the house, and there was one laying right in the middle of the dirt road that we traveled going back over to the house.
And a lot
that
of
thing was probably 6 foot long.
And like, there are actually people posting them. There are Facebook group.
I was going to say, a lot of it may be like us. I was probably 19 or 20 right there, and we got to go on lion hunts around here because at Greenbrier there was a safari forest deal, and they went out of business, and somehow or another all the lions got loose and was actually roaming around here in the woods. So you never know when something like that could just get loose from people nowadays.
Right, I seen the Black Panther here in like 2013, 2014, and Ricky's son was over here at my house. He had seen it, and then nothing. I hadn't heard nobody say anything about it. Well, back about 2 or 3 months ago, we actually have a Facebook page for here in Gordon County. It's a concerned citizen in Gordon County. They were a girl that lives on my road posted about seeing it. And then I got to reading the comments. I mean, just there were so many people that commented saying, "Oh yeah, I seen it. Oh yeah, I mean, I seen it back, seen one back in, such and such year, and yeah, I just seen it the other day, right down the road." And so there are a lot of people seeing them.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, that goes along, like I said, that goes right back to the to the Bigfoot sightings. People are seeing them every day now, and that's
Well, it's
just
like for example, that one that Bigfoot Expedition Bigfoot posted at the boat ramp over here that we went to that night, Ricky.
right, and that's
That was one of the first sightings that was close to Calhoun, and the comments on that sighting, if you just got to reading it, I mean, there were so many people in the area that have had sightings that you never heard of until that was posted.
Yeah.
right, and that's just it. That goes back. People even with everything we've got going on in the Bigfoot world today, people are still your common person is still I don't know if shy would be the actual word or what it is, but they don't want to come out and don't want to be labeled a nut because they say they saw Bigfoot. Well, I'm here
Well,
to tell
that's
you, in
that's another
1980,
part of what Cliff Bartman was talking about. When it becomes official, they get identified, and it's okay. He said there's going to be an avalanche of pre-existing evidence that'll come out after the fact.
Right.
He said you're going to get pictures, videos, trail cam pics, witnesses, the whole 9 yards coming out of the woodwork that have been sitting on it for however many years because they didn't want to be labeled a nutcase.
right,
But once it gets accepted, that's when, like you said, the dam's going to break.
Right.
well, that's one thing Blake and I get out when we can, and we
Lost his audio, I think.
no, that's one thing that when Blake and I Blake get a chance, we get out and we get out and research these creatures as much as we can. And like I said, I've had my personal sighting. Blake's had his. Y'all have had y'all's, and I know that's what drives y'all. That's what drives me. I'm not out
Right.
here to prove these creatures exist. The only thing I want to do is give people the knowledge that they are out there. And a lot of people think these creatures are just big teddy bears out here running around through the woods. The people that do believe in them, but I'm here to tell you that from encounter stories that I've gotten from people all over this country, the things are not, they're just like any other wild animal. They're not
Yeah.
a teddy bear out there running around.
No.
Well, it's just I think it's one of those things too. It's the circumstance that you run into them out.
Well, I was going to say, they're not teddy bears, but if you read so many reports and stuff, how many times, if they'd have wanted the witness, there's never been a witness. We've never heard about it because
I mean, if they were just out to kill everything and kill everybody or hurt everything, I mean, which people come up missing. Don't get me wrong, but you'd have people just left and right coming up found dead and or missing, and you wouldn't have all these eyewitness stories. I mean,
more than likely none of us would be here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was about to say. That's what I tell people is, yes, me and Ricky's put ourselves in some dumb situations, but you know what? We're here to tell our stories.
That's what I mean. I mean, we're not the average person that ain't looking for them. We're out there poking the bear.
Right. Right. And I mean, me and Ricky's been close. I mean, if we were gonna get got, I feel like we were already gotten got.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, who's to say we're not going? Who's
My
to say
team's
we're not
been
going to
in places that, after we got there, we was like, that got just a little bit too hairy, and we're glad we made it out of there. When you got trees flying at you and rocks.
No, we know all about that.
That's one thing I've never had anything thrown at me. Thrown at the house, maybe, but not at me personally.
Oh, we've had rocks thrown at us, sticks slung at us, trees pushed over, limb break, screamed at.
Yeah, the scream is it. Oh, that's it. It just makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
Oh yeah.
Well, I told you about the one time.
I think me and Ricky have a record for as being as close to one when it screamed as you're going to get. We were probably about 10, 15 yards from one. I mean, it was on top of us. I mean, it could have not been it. So I'm sure Ricky's told. I mean, I know Ricky's told the story on here before, but there are two that really stand out to me. And one, we were in my dad's bass boat. We were in back of we were at the lake where I had my sighting. We were back in the cove where I had my sighting, and we're sitting up on the bank or close to the bank. We're probably about, I don't know, 20, 30 foot off the bank. We're pretty close to the bank. We got the trolling motor down. We're just sitting there, and we did some house, and their embankment, the bank that we're on, it's an embankment. It's a steep angle, and then it plateaus at the top, so you can't see what's up on top of that plateau. It's tall. We'd done a couple hows, and all of a sudden we get a response, and this thing is right there. Like, I mean, if it was any close to us, it would have been in the boat with us. That, you talk about hearing it that close, like, it's loud, and you can tell the authority behind their screams and howls at a distance. Well, let me tell you, that close.
Yeah.
Ricky was he almost jumped in the water.
Yeah, I was looking for somewhere to go.
He was going somewhere.
I doubted I could walk on water, but I was sure gonna give it a try that night.
Yep. We had one encounter like that. I said we had one that encounter like that, and that's what we had area 2 where we're at. And it was me, Marcus Miller, Clint Holloway, and Gregory Morris that was there. And all evening, the whole day hadn't went right for us the whole day. So we ended up there at area 2, and it was already getting dark. And we was like, well, we probably won't have no sighting. And we had Marcus chop up wood with an axe. And I think that's what brought this in the end, was that he was chopping that wood with an axe.
Sound like wood knocks, yeah.
Wood knocks. But anyway, when he got done with chopping the wood up right before we lit the fire and everything, I talked him into making a whoop, just jokingly. And Greg, the guy that come with Clint, he didn't believe in Bigfoot or nothing. And we was all talking about, well, when Marcus let out that whoop, one answered him just instant, and it vibrated your chest, vibrated everything. I was the only one that had my gun anywhere around. It was laying in the back of the truck because I was sitting on the tailgate. I rushed over, grabbed my gun, whirled around, and got underneath the tailgate looking back towards the trees as the whole top of the trees was going like that as it went off the bluff side. And Marcus went around to get his pistol out of the truck, and about that time, something tapped me on the shoulder, and I about knocked Greg plumb out because he come over there. I didn't know what it was. I about knocked him out. He was kind of knocked backwards, and he said, "What was that?" And I said, "That was that Bigfoot you don't believe in." But yeah, I know that is the loudest, and it was probably 50 yards from us in, so you was closer than that. So.
Yeah, like I said, we couldn't have been any closer. I mean, if you were any closer, you'd have been giving it a hug. I mean, it wouldn't.
Yeah, and this thing sounded like it meant business that night too.
We've also, I mean, in that same cove during the winter when the lake's down, I mean, we've had some howls and some screams that we'd be on one side of the cove and on the other side with the water down. I mean, they're only probably 50 yards of water between, in the actual cove back there between that and the other side, and they be, right in the wood line on the other side. So, I mean, we've had some very close responses and vocalizations.
As far as vocals, only scary what I've heard. I know I've told Wendell about this. I was down in the woods right below the pond one day, right around dusk. And the only way I could describe it, I couldn't tell you how close I was or wasn't. The closest thing I've heard is like an alligator. That creepy cross between a growl and I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
I see, and then I looked downrange from me, and all I saw was a blur. Looked almost like a heat wave coming off asphalt in between two trees. I blinked and it was gone. And you talk about one time that I decided I had enough Bigfooting for one day. I don't know if, like Wendell said, I was close to the young. I got the distinct impression they didn't want me there. Just that sound, I mean, you talk about jump out of your skin. Because I'm in Kentucky. There ain't no alligators in Kentucky that I know
of. Shouldn't be, at least.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah. And like I said, that's the closest sound I've ever heard to what I heard that day. That alligator, that noise they make, that real deep. It ain't a growl. I don't know what you call it.
Almost like a gargle or something like that.
Yeah, even go back 150, 200 years. Even Davy Crockett, the man that helped settle Kentucky, he even reported in his journals from back in his time that he shot and killed one of these creatures.
Called it a Yahoo.
Yeah. Called it a Yahoo.
Daniel Boone saw him as well.
Even one of the presidents had a whole team that went after him and everything.
Yep.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Right, Roosevelt. Yep.
Excuse me, I said Davy Crockett. I meant Daniel Boone, who I meant.
Yeah. Now, for a while, one of the researchers here in Kentucky thought he had found the cave where supposedly Boone shot his and left the body. And it was on somebody's property, and conveniently, about the time they was going to go check this skeleton in this cave out, the cave collapsed.
Oh, convenient.
Make of that what you will. I mean,
yeah.
That's what even other researchers said. Well, ain't that convenient?
That's a government cover up of all this.
Well, he wasn't going so much that direction, as he thought maybe the property owner was trying to pull a quick one.
Right.
And he realized him and the other people coming in where somebody would see through it real quick. So the cave conveniently got collapsed. I tell you what, guys, I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to go check on Mom.
Okay. Ricky, do you have any more pictures?
Yeah. Yeah, let me bring some more up here. Now, we were talking about them being gray. Check this one out.
That one has more of an ape look to it.
Right. Well, something's happened here. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that would have more of the gray hair there and look.
Right.
That looks more like in the face as the aborigine.
Ricky, it kind of looks like you. What are you doing on
Hey,
that screen? We ain't sharing self-portraits here.
Hey, I keep my goatee a little more trimmed up than this one does.
Yeah.
As long as we're on the subject of pictures. Oh, I'm back, by the way.
Oh.
I still haven't got a real good look at one of them's face, so I can't really comment on those type of pictures.
Well, the most common thing that you see in all these is the broader nose, the more pug nose.
Yeah.
But that is one feature that is pretty consistent.
Is that like the Bobby over Bigfoot there?
I don't know. That looks like my cousin.
I mean, he's got that distant look in his eyes, and
I started to say I think I'd run across that in the bar time today. But this just goes back, boys. These are supposed to be renderings that people have actually saw, that they've done. I think that's all of them.
what I was going to ask while we're talking about pictures, I know Wendell's in the group. The Michigan Gumshoe Big group. Did you see the picture there last night?
Uh-oh.
Right when he was asking questions, he goes messing up.
I was saying, you're into Bigfoot. Did you see that one for somebody called yesterday? SASQUATCH standing up broad daylight.
I think the government's got him hacked. They don't let him
Starfleet or something got him at.
Hang on a second. Let me go back in the other room. Is this any better?
Yeah.
Yes.
So far.
Until you ask a question.
Yeah. Oh, there you
Sure
go.
enough. Did you see the picture somebody put in there on there the last day or so with a big black one standing out in broad daylight?
Yeah.
Has anybody got any details on it yet?
Not that I saw. No.
I just wondered, because I don't want to be that guy, but if that thing's legit, that's right up there with the Patterson or the Freeman videos, even though it's a still shot. Because, I mean, there he is, as big as life and twice as ugly.
And I'm just guessing that it's right at 9 foot tall.
Well, the only question I had, as we all know, most Bigfoot pictures, it looks like whoever was taking the picture was doing it from orbit. They look like they're 3 miles away from whatever they're taking a picture of. That one there looks like you could reach out and shake its hand.
Yeah.
It looks like the cameraman is just right there.
Well, guys, let me ask you something. And this is between the four of us and the people that's viewing us tonight, that'll view us in the future. Wendell, what would you actually do, bud, if you walked into the woods and walked up face to face with a 9-foot creature like these things? I mean,
it depends. The majority of the time anymore, I'm prepared when I'm in there, and very slowly move away and keep my eyes on him. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's going to all determine how it reacts.
Yeah. Always give it a corridor to get out of there, and they're going to leave the majority of the time.
I mean, by all means, if he wants to sit down and have dinner with me, I mean, we can make some arrangements. But
Yeah,
I'm hoping he gives me a corridor to get out of there.
that's the problem. He can get to whichever way I'm going out faster than I could. That's the problem.
Well, you know me. I'm usually praying before I ever go in the woods. If I walked in and ran into that, I start praying harder.
all I can say, if he wanted to have a bad day, we could have a bad day, but it probably wouldn't end well for me. But because anytime there's usually more than one. But
yeah. Well, like we said the other night, I just have to stand my ground because I ain't outrunning anything.
Well, I done got so old I can't run no more, so.
all I got to do is outrun you, Ricky.
Yeah.
Well, see, Blake, that's my problem. I go by myself. I can't shoot the other guy in the knee because there ain't no other guy.
yeah.
Blake and his dad done that to me one time.
Huh.
We had one stream down there one night right on us, just across that little cove that Blake was talking about. And I look around and Blake and Johnny's gone. It's a mile from the truck. When I get back to the truck, them two suckers are sitting in the truck with the doors locked. I'm beating on side Johnny's truck. He finally rolls the window down and looked at me and says, I didn't have to outrun Sasquatch. All I had to do was outrun you. And of course they did.
That's why I pick you to go with, Ricky. Just kidding.
Yeah. There's times in this crowd I feel like a sacrificial lamb or something.
I tell
Well, I
all
was
my
just joking. I did it to Mom the other day. We was walking down the road. I looked at her, I said, you know, if we ever do run into Bigfoot, I don't got to outrun it. I just got to outrun you. And I just took off. And I ain't that tall of a guy. I ain't that good in shape. But Mom, at 4'8", she has to take 3 strides to my 1. So I'm 50 yards up the road before she even knows what's going on.
Well, that's Ricky's disadvantage.
I think I'm going to be all right.
Hey, Ricky's only like 4 foot. No, how tall are you?
5'8".
Like 5'5".
5'8". 5'8".
COPD. So I don't have to run very fast.
Well, I'm 5'7" and fat, so like I said, I'm not outrunning anything.
Yeah, I don't run anymore, so but I'm 6'5" and like 358. So whatever I do,
One thing I've got in common with the Bigfoot, I'm 5'7", but I weigh 225, so I'm almost as broad and as thick as I am tall.
So we're talking about different sizes. That's Bigfoot come in. We definitely come in different sizes.
Right.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 6'1", like 175, 180. So.
Hey, Blake, I like this one right here, this comment. Blake, you can't let anything happen to Ricky.
Oh, I promise. I've never let anything happen to Ricky, and I won't. It's all fun and games and jokes.
Oh, yeah. But no, let all jokes.
It's very easy to pick on Ricky, so I do. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. We've had some harrowing encounters doing this over the years, but I've really enjoyed them all. Hope to live for a while longer to research these animals.
We've definitely had some memorable moments over the years, so.
Well, it's not Bigfoot related, but just recently here we've had a giant bird sightings in my county.
Huh.
I had a friend put on Facebook something trying to snatch his wiener dog right out of the yard right in front of him. And then one of his neighbors in the comments said there was 2 of them, and they said they thought they were black buzzards, but they killed a 2-day-old calf. I said, buzzards don't go after live prey.
No. Well, there's one thing about it. I've got a Chihuahua down here, and if one of them suckers ever catches him, they're going to have a fight on their hand, ain't they, Blake?
They'll bring him back.
I don't worry too much about both.
I mean, like that's too rotten of meat for them.
That's one thing about Bo Stevens. If there's a bird out there big enough to pick him up and carry him off, I don't want to mess with it.
You got that right.
That dog weighs about 100, 120 pounds. We got after a feral cat today.
What
I
is
thought
he?
we was going to take him clear across the county line.
What kind of dog is he?
Bloodhound. Pure-blooded red. Like I said, he got after that feral cat. I had 2 lead ropes on him, and it was all I could do to pull him off.
You got somebody here says, I know that's right. Ricky is slow as Christmas.
Yeah.
They must know me pretty good.
Let's do it.
Yeah, they know you pretty well, Ricky.
Must do it.
You'd be late for your own funeral.
Hey, I'll tell you what, boys, going back to that comment, it's not got nothing to do with Bigfoot, but I had an uncle years ago. I always said he was going to be late for his own funeral. So honest to God, guys, the day we got down there to the man's funeral, they come out in the chapel and announced that they can't bury him till the next day because the truck hauling his vault had broke down on 75 north of Atlanta. It's going to be the next day before they get his vault to bury him in. So, you know, the old adage came true with him.
Well, speaking of... Go ahead, Wendell.
I just going to say, I got a few friends that's that way. They're always late for everything.
Well, it's semi-Bigfoot related. I was out on the porch this afternoon. This black Silverado pulls up in front of the driveway, backs it, pulls in it, backs out, pulls in it, backs out. I'm standing there like, what is this guy doing? Well, finally he parks and gets out. Mom coming to the kitchen door saw me watching him. He says, I saw your sign. I've had a couple of counters. Well, I got excited. I thought he was talking about the cast iron Sasquatch silhouette we've got hanging on the deck. About that time, he pointed over at the Beware Dog sign. He said, yeah, one about got me the other day. Then he gives me a card. He was wanting my vote. He's running for office. Well, you talk about you talk about all the excitement going out of me like that. The rest of that conversation was real short. I think I might have spoke 3 words at a time, and he left. I wasn't being rude. I was just disappointed. I thought I done had a witness laying in my lap.
Yeah.
He jumped out of the truck and said, I saw that sign. I've had a couple of counters. Well, I was tickled pink. And then he was a politician. Where's the Sasquatch when you need one?
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, boys, look, we're into an hour and 15 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out.
All right.
Wendell, Burry, very glad to have you on the show tonight. We'll be doing another one here in a few weeks, and I'll be here in a few days, and I'll holler back at you.
All right.
Blake, you want to go ahead and close her out, bud?
If you guys don't mind, go get. Do you still have your channel, Barry?
Yeah, I don't get on it much lately. I've just been busy. Of course, I got hacked and locked out of Facebook twice, which we've discussed whether or not that was coincidental or not. But I put something up every now and then. I just have to do it when I get time.
Right. Well, go subscribe to Praying and Squatching, which is Barry channel. Then go give Wendell a follow as well. What was the channel? I'm sorry, Wendell.
Fishing with the Arkansas Boys. That's the YouTube channel.
And well, as always, guys, we can't thank you guys enough for your support. And if you don't mind, if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, bell notification, like, and comment. And I hope everyone has a good week, and we'll see you guys next week.
See y'all later. God bless.
See y'all later.
Thank y'all. God
Good night,
bless.
guys.
Good night. Bubby, let me end this thing. One of the before we end, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and all y'all who join us in the future. We got a good show lined up next week, so tune in. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.